What's going to happen with Brexit? We've just had the proroguing of Parliament, and we've had this uproar, what Jacob Rees-Mogg has called this sort of confetti outrage, this fake outrage from the Remainers, that somehow Boris has staged a coup. Boris in Parliament is in a difficult situation. He cannot command a majority, but the Remainers are still fractured. They can't coalesce around Corbyn. That's their problem. Not only do the British people not fancy Corbyn in number 10 Downing Street, the Brussels bureaucrats don't want him there neither. They know that he's sceptical about Brussels, about the EU, and that Corbyn doesn't believe in the project. They're not sure where he's going to go. They see him as a left-wing populist. They see him as a dangerous character. So there's no sort of coalescing of the Remainer opposition around one figure. And this is causing them real problems because they can't be sure how they will vote in Parliament. What they really need to do, the Remainers, is get Boris Johnson out of number 10. As long as Boris Johnson's in the cockpit, in charge of the aircraft, he's going to land it eventually. He's going to land it on October 31st. It's going to touch down and we're going to leave. Brexit will happen. They have to get Boris Johnson out of the cockpit. And they're not going to be able to do that. I can't see any strategy they've got to realise that. The Remainers could try another approach. They could tie Boris Johnson in sort of legal sort of jargon and sort of say that his Parliament's going to insist that he extends the deadline or whatever. But when he's in the negotiating room, none of that will count. He's a free agent then. He's acting as the Prime Minister. He's acting on behalf of Britain. And he's not restrained by any laws. It's up to him to take his negotiating position. And his position is, we're leaving on the 31st of October, deal or no deal. So they had to get Boris Johnson out of the equation. And they're not going to achieve it. Not in the timetable that has been set. They started all these legal battles now to say that his proroguing is unconstitutional. But it's been sanctioned by the Queen. It's too late. The Queen is the monarch. She's the sovereign. She's the head of state. If she said he can prorogue Parliament, he can prorogue Parliament, and there's nothing the courts can do about it. So they're going along a lot of very strange paths, the Remainers. They're confused. They're in panic. We've literally got now 60 days until Brexit. Politically, and in terms of organising alternatives, that time frame was so short. It's just going to disintegrate. I mean, it will rapidly disappear. I mean, we had the March the 31st deadline, and that put enormous pressure on Theresa May and Parliament. But Theresa May was quite willing to extend that. She was not committed to that 31st of March deadline. Boris Johnson is totally committed to it. And he knows that he can't renege on his commitments because the Brexit Party is breathing down his neck. And he's already sort of got the support of Donald Trump to leave on the 31st. I think that gives him a lot of confidence, the fact that the Americans are backing him completely on this and is backing his strategy. So I see him in a very strong position. I mean, the Remainers for so long have believed that they actually do control this country, that they control the Tory party, which they did, that they control the Labour and Liberal parties, that they control the mass media, they control the BBC. They're still in a state of shock about the referendum result, even though it was 3 years ago, June 2016. They still can't accept what happened. The British people, 17.4 million, voted to leave the European Union and won by, 1.3 million, a significant victory. And they just can't seem to absorb that reality, the Remainers. They still think they control the situation. They don't. They've lost the European elections to the Brexit Party, which was the largest party. They've lost control of the government now to Brexiteers. And they've lost the timetable. There's literally 60 days left. I mean, there's talk about resurrecting Kenneth Clarke to become the leader of a national unity government. What a farce that is. Kenneth Clarke, how old is he? 74 or 75? He's a has-been. He's washed out. Couldn't lead any government. And the idea that the MPs are going to coalesce around Kenneth Clarke, I mean, that's just fantasy land. So what strategy have they got, the Remainers, now to thwart Boris Johnson? They need something really dramatic. I mean, even if they manage to have a vote of no confidence and vote for Boris Johnson to be removed from number 10, what are they going to call? It still is prerogative to call a general election. And in the time frame that we have left, that would take us over the deadline, the 31st of October deadline. So I just can't see how, I mean, if they win a vote of no confidence, they got 14 days to form an alternative government. It's not going to happen. There is no alternative government in waiting. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell, they haven't got the support of the House. They will not be voted into number 10. A general election will come probably not long after Brexit. A triumphal Brexit on October the 31st. What an amazing occasion that will be if we actually, after all this ordeal of 40, how long was it, 46 years in the European Union, we finally escape the shackles of Brussels. Can you imagine a sense of relief in this nation and a sense of relief? That's after so long of being under their thumb, we're finally free again and we can shape our position and our destiny in the world according to our desires and not the desires of the Brussels bureaucrats. And that will be a triumphant moment for Boris Johnson. You can then immediately call a general election, even on the following Thursday. I mean, you can call it before the 31st, but either on the 7th of November or the 14th of November or Thursday the 21st, you can have a general election as the man who delivered Brexit. You know, a man who fulfilled his promise to 17.4 million voters and the whole nation, because they voted for the nation. The nation has chosen to leave the European Union. Boris Johnson can march in triumph into the general election and hopefully win a landslide. And then we can get on with fixing Britain. And all this nonsense that we see at the moment, all this desperate last actions of the Remainers. It's like their final moments, it's their swan song. That will all come to an end and it will all be seen, be cast into the rubbish bin of history, and we can move on to the future. We can move on to a better future, and Britain playing a different role, our true role in the world. And if you ask me just the percentages, I think it's over 50% likely that we leave on the 31st of October. I think it's going to be the probable result. I would say 30% of possibility of a national unity government, possibility, but not unlikely. And I would say 20% of a vote of no confidence and a general election. The rest, the other sort of alternatives don't really count. I can't see us striking a deal in the last 60 days. I don't think the EU will move. It doesn't happen like that with the EU. It's a very slow moving bureaucracy. To actually change that withdrawal agreement is beyond them. We're going to leave on October 31st with no deal, and victory belongs to the Brexiteers. Thank you. Once again, just like to say thank you to all those who've donated towards our channel. We're buying new equipment constantly. We need a new computer actually, and so we need as much support as we can get. We've got fresh expenses coming up, so whatever you can contribute, if you'd like to help us, please do so. There's a PayPal link in the description. Remember to subscribe to our channel and press the bell so you get a notification of any future videos. We're producing 2, 3, 4, 5 a week now, and we're going to keep on rallying the British people, rallying the European people, rallying the people of the Western world. We're all in this together. As Trump said, we're all in this. It's all about us. We are the people who are making this happen, this revolution, this nationalist revolution to save our countries, save our civilization, and kick the globalists into touch. Thank you.